All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It looks like we've got a good audience, so we can go ahead and get started. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining today's Insights to Impact Copilot for Research and Administration. My name is Celeste Roan. I'm an Adoption and Change Management Consultant with Microsoft. And I have been working with the University of Miami team to support Copilot adoption. So this is a second instance of a webinar series that we have ongoing. So I'd really like for this to be as engaging as possible. I've prepared a couple of workflows that we'll walk through together. We will start off with an introduction to Microsoft 365, get everybody grounded in the same understanding and the same Copilot that we'll be using today. And then we'll go into an activity to get us into both Copilot chat and the researcher agent. We'll do that together. Go through 3 demonstrations. I will use a couple of different Copilot applications or M365 applications with Copilot embedded in them. We will go through accelerate literature reviews and grant proposal writing, summarize meeting transcripts and generate follow-ups, and then create a compliance agent. And then we will open up for Q&A at the end. This is a Teams webinar, so you can access the Q&A. If you go to the top of your Teams bar next to the camera, the mic, and the sharing, then you'll have this question mark and the quote and the Q&A. And so anytime that you have questions throughout this presentation, feel free to drop those in the Q&A, and we will try to address those as we progress throughout the presentation, but also at the end of the presentation as well. So let's go ahead and continue. I mentioned that this is the second instance of our fall Copilot webinar series. The first one we had was October 9th, and that was around data surge. We worked in the analyst agent and also in Outlook and some other Copilot capabilities. You can access those tutorials through the IT website. I'll go ahead and create a post dropping that link where you can get access to some of those quick trainings and then also the recorded session that we had so far. This session is also going to be recorded and it will be posted exactly where you found the registration for this session today. Our third series will be November 7th. That'll be around Course Catalyst, Transforming Teaching with Copilot. So make sure that you register for that session and share it with others as well. And I will also drop the link for the registration for the November 7th session. All right. Let me just post that link there for November 7th session, and then we will continue. Okay. So we're going to go into the introduction for Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now I'm emphasizing the Microsoft 365 Copilot because this is the Copilot that is integrated across the Microsoft 365 applications. So this is your AI-powered productivity assistant. What makes it so powerful truly is that integration across the rest of your applications that provides that truly personalized experience. So what that means is that when you ask Copilot a question or when you submit a prompt, this is either the statement or the question that you're asking Copilot, it's going to provide an answer based off of your information, your documents, your chat, your files, along with a language model. And so what that means is it does have access to your emails if they're in Outlook. It does have access to your Teams meetings or your chat correspondences if they're done in Teams, and any other information or documents that you have saved in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. That's typically OneDrive, Teams, or SharePoint as well. Now, that's great, right? But is it secure? Yes, it is. So Microsoft 365 Copilot, it automatically inherits your organization's security, compliance, and privacy policies meaning that if you submit a prompt or ask Copilot a question, it's not going to give you a response that is based off of a document or a site or information that you do not have access to. So those same information barriers are protected, and in addition to that, Copilot is never going to learn off of the information or the prompts that you have. So the information in your Microsoft 365 ecosystem, your chats, your emails, the language model is not learning off of that. It's just providing a response based off of that. Now, how do you access Copilot? Copilot is, as well as it integrates and will pull information across the M365 applications, it is available as well across those M365 applications. But one of the easiest ways to access it is just in a browser. And I'll go ahead and post that Copilot link in the Q&A as well so that you guys can access that, because we will be going to Copilot chat together in just a moment for an activity. But let me provide you a visual of what this looks like. When you open Copilot in a browser, you'll have access to the M365 Copilot chat here. It should look something similar to this. Alternatively, you might also be used to using Copilot chat in the Teams application. You can add it and get it pinned to your sidebar here like we have in the bottom right picture here. Or if you have it in your chats, then you can access Copilot through there as well. Now, there is one additional important distinction that I must make here is in order to have this powered Copilot that is integrated across your M365 applications, you do need to make sure that you have gone through the opt-in process and that you have both the work and the web tab available when you access that Copilot chat, whether you're accessing that Copilot chat through Teams or through the browser. Need to have both this work and this web. If you don't have anything here, then you do not have the licensed version of Copilot. So we want to make sure that everybody has the latest and the greatest Copilot version, the one that provides that integrated experience. So we'll also just pop that opt-in into the chat. So if you're working with your colleagues and you're trying to share with them some of the things that we're going to go through today, and they say it's just not working for me, it might be that they do not have the licensed version of Copilot Chat, and you'll want to share that opt-in link with them as well. All right, so now that we are all in on the same page about what the opt-in process is, making sure that we do have the right license, let's go ahead and open Copilot Chat together. And we're going to go through an activity that showcases the capability of both Copilot Chat and the researcher agent. So this is the activity that we're going to do. We're going to generate ideas and approaches with both Copilot Chat and Researcher. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up just that Copilot Chat, and I'll show you and follow along in this with you as well in just a moment. But we're going to type a research question or an administrative challenge into Copilot Chat and ask it to generate 3 ideas or approaches. So you can come up with your own research question or administrative challenge and drop that into Copilot Chat. The example that I'm going to use today is what are some emerging trends in biomedical engineering for grant proposals? But feel free to be creative and use whatever challenge or question you might have. So we're just going to start with that part 1. I'm going to open up my Copilot Chat with you all. Copilot Chat should look something like this, whether you're in Teams or accessing it through a browser. You'll have that work and that web. For this one, either way will work, but I'd probably want to start in the work. It's going to pull from either your content or also the web content here. So we're going to stay in that chat and we're going to just go ahead and type in whatever question or challenge we have. For my example, I'm going to use this one. First, we're going to try this out with Copilot Chat. And you'll see in just a couple of moments, Copilot is going to quickly retrieve an answer. All right, so we've got a couple different trends. It's giving me some internal activity for the University of Miami here, and then also some external trends as well. It's given me more than three, but given me a great place to start, and it's even pulled some context from my calendar here as well. Now I'm going to give you guys a teaser. Yours may look something like this or completely different based off of the work that you've been doing or if you've done anything related to this. Now, I've been running prompts in preparation for today's session, and so Copilot knows that I've already been working with the University of Miami, and so that's why you can see it reflected in some of this response. But the main thing here is that you're going to quickly be able to get an answer to your response. And another great thing is that you're going to have inline citation. So wherever Copilot's giving you that information, it's going to link the resources here, and you can quickly jump to wherever that place is, whether it's on the web, whether it's in your own personal email or chat, it'll take you to that place as well. It will also summarize all of the sources at the bottom here as well. So you'll always have transparency around how Copilot is providing that information to you. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and try this out in Researcher. And I do see the question. I will get to the difference between the work and the web in just a couple moments here. So if you're in this M365 Copilot chat here, you should have a couple agents pinned here. You should have the researcher and the analyst. If not, you can also find all of the agents here in the agent marketplace or the agent store here. So you'll select that all agents, and then you'll have the agents that are built by Microsoft. So these are the out-of-the-box agents that are available with the M365 Copilot license. These are purpose-built agents that use the language model to optimize whatever specific task or function. So in this case, I'm going to select the researcher agent because we're going to want to do some research here. Now, if you haven't pinned it, you have the option to pin it here, or else I'm just going to select this open, and it's just going to take me right back here to my researcher agent. The interface looks very similar to what you see with Copilot Chat, but it is using this specific researcher agent. Now, this researcher agent, it's a reasoning-based AI assistant designed to tackle complex, multi-step research tasks. It combines OpenAI's deep research model with Copilot's advanced orchestration and deep search capabilities. So if you are looking for a more complex, if you're looking for an output that reflects more of a report as opposed to a quick, conversational response, then you might want to give the researcher agent a try. Now, because the researcher agent uses this deep multi-step research, it is going to take a little bit more time than just the Copilot chat. And by a little bit more time, I mean this could take up to 15 minutes, depending on the type of question or prompt that you provide it. But in just this activity, we're going to go ahead and use the same question that we asked Copilot chat before. So if you're using my example, this is around biomedical engineering for grant proposals, but you can put in whatever example you just used with the Copilot chat. I'm going to go ahead and press submit here, and it's going to run. So if you see this, it's going to run and go through and show you the different steps that it will take to provide the research for this information. It will take a little bit of time, so just for the purposes of the demo, I'm just going to go and show you guys what this actually looked like by accessing my previous conversations where I've already run this prompt with Copilot or with the Researcher app. So you can see here, it might ask you some follow-up questions. You can give it more detail, or you can just say, use your best judgment or go ahead. And then, oops, sorry, this is my Copilot chat response. Let's go to my researcher response here. Let me just go to all of my conversations. Okay, And so if you're looking for a previous chat that you've already run, this is a good place to just share a little bit about conversations. This is your Copilot chat history, and it also integrates anywhere where you've also used the agent as well. So if I'm going back through my history and I want to know, I've already asked Copilot in chat here, but this little designation, this icon here, lets me know that this is where I asked it in Researcher. And so I'm just going to select that. And you can see it asked me some follow-up questions. I told it to go ahead. And then you can see the difference between the quick or the more conversational answer that you get with Copilot Chat versus the more detailed report response that you get in the researcher agent here. So I will just quickly showcase what that looks like. Again, you always get those inline citations, so you know exactly where Copilot or the researcher agent pulled that information. And now you have a very detailed report on the trends in biomedical engineering for grants. All right. Okay, let me take a moment just to address the questions around the work and the web tab here. So I'm going to just return to my Copilot chat here. Now, the work, when you submit a prompt or a question using the work tab, Copilot is going to look across your M365 ecosystem, so the information, your chats, emails, documents, and the web. So you're going to get a response that combines both of those. However, if you select the web toggle, you still have the same security, meaning that Copilot is not going to share your prompt, and just throw it out into the web. It still maintains that same security boundary. However, you can think of this as a super powered search. So instead of a typical search engine like Bing, where you use a keyword and it will go out and provide links and information, you're still going to get that conversational approach, but it's just going to ground that information or that response in information from the web. It's not going to go through your documents or your emails. It's just going to source the response from the web. And that truly is the only difference between the web and the work. Both of them are just as secure. And so yes, because the sources are different, the responses may be different as well. And you'll find that that's the case with Copilot in general. If you ask it the same question multiple times, it's likely not going to give you the same response, and that's on purpose. It all depends on the context of where you are and what you're doing. And so that's how it provides some of that personalized experience as well. All right, so let's go ahead and continue into our first demo. So what we're going to do is we are going to go through some steps to accelerate a literature review and grant proposal drafting. So for this demo, I'm going to go ahead and open up a Word document. So I mentioned before that Copilot was available in the web, in the Teams applications, but also throughout your M365 applications. So I'm just opening a blank Word document here, but you could also access Copilot on the Word desktop applications. The desktop and the online experience, the Copilot is available on both, across whichever application you're using. So if you're using Outlook Online, you can use Copilot. If you're using Outlook on the desktop version, you can use Copilot. Same thing with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. A Copilot is available in a couple different places. You can go ahead and ask Copilot to draft some information here at the top, but then you also have that similar chat experience that we were just using with the Copilot chat in the web here by selecting this Copilot icon. So again, we have that option to go through and source our response with the work data, or we can source it through the web. Now, in this case, I want to start off by doing some research. And so I'm going to have Copilot source a response from the web. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that web tab here. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Copilot to help me with some research. I'm going to ask Copilot to find and summarize 5 recent peer-reviewed articles on AI-assisted diagnostics in biomedical engineering. I'm going to ask Copilot to include citation details in APA format. And this is going to pull from the web. So we'll go ahead and hit submit. All right, and in just a matter of seconds, I've got 5 recent peer-reviewed articles on AI-assisted diagnostics in our biomedical engineering with the citation. So you can see the summaries and the citations here, along with the link of the inline Copilot citations as well. Now you can do 2 things with this data. You can copy this response and go ahead and manually paste it into Word. And if you've been using Copilot for a while, this was previously the only way that you could get the information into a Word document from the Copilot chat. But now you may notice, and this may still be rolling out, but I wanted to showcase that this is a feature that's coming as well, is that you have the option to add this directly to your Word document. So I'm going to go ahead and select this Add to Doc. And if Copilot will cooperate with me, we should get it added here. All right, looks like Copilot might still be running something in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and just manually paste this for now. This should work for you, but in this case, I'm not getting my demo to cooperate. But either way, that copy and paste still works, or you have this new option to add this Copilot response directly to the document here. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to ask Copilot to draft a literature review section for a NIH grant proposal. And I'm going to ask Copilot to include an introduction, key findings, and a conclusion. And we will format that in APA style. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this prompt into this same chat here. And I should get a quick literature review with Copilot. I see a question in the chat. Is Copilot 100% reliable that the peer-reviewed sources found are not hallucinations? The answer is no. You have to check those sources and be sure that Copilot is not hallucinating. There's always a warning here. You can see at the bottom of the Copilot chat here that AI-generated content may be incorrect. And so we like to say Copilot is your assistant, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for checking and verifying the information that Copilot is providing you. It's not something that will go ahead and do all of the work yourself. It does need to be reviewed and validated by you as well, but it will, in most cases, get you a really good start and be a good partner in helping you with some of your research as well. All right, so now we've got our literature review here, the introduction, the key findings, etc. So what we can do here is, again, we can copy and paste this into the document. I'm just going to try one more time to see if this will automatically add to my presentation. Okay, perfect. It worked this time. So you can see how seamless that is to go from working with Copilot to getting it directly into your document here. Now there's several different things that you can do from here. You can go ahead and manually rewrite or adjust this, but you also have some options with Copilot in the text or in line here. If you select this pen icon and this draft with Copilot, you can adjust it. So you can auto rewrite it. Copilot will go ahead and regenerate a draft. You can structure and refine, make it more formal, shorter, get some writing suggestions, or even change the visualization of the information. So if you want this to be more of, if you want this information to be visualized as a table, then you can go ahead and select that as well. Oops. Go in here. So for example, these are a couple different findings from different authors. Let's see if we can get Copilot to visualize this as a table. And you don't have to put any instructions in terms of what the columns or their headers should be. Copilot is going to look at the context of the information there and provide its best response at visualizing this and organizing this into a table here. Just zoom in a bit. So then you have the option to keep this, or you can replace it, meaning it will delete the paragraph above and replace it with this table. Or you can just keep it here at the bottom and continue to iterate and work with Copilot here. All right, so the last thing that we want to do is we want to get Copilot to go ahead and draft a proposal for us. So in this case, I'm going to ask Copilot to create a draft grant proposal. I'm using a couple specifics here around a NIH grant proposal for AI-enhanced diagnostic tools for cardiovascular health. I'm going to tell Copilot to include an abstract, specific aims, and budget overview, and to use the literature review as background context for this grant proposal. So I'll go ahead and submit that prompt. And in just a matter of seconds, we have our grant proposal. Now, again, this is a good starting place, but this is where you'll want to revise and edit and work with Copilot. Maybe you like some of the references that it's making or the sources, and you can go and research those further. And again, you can go ahead and copy and paste this into a new document, or you can just add it directly to the bottom of the existing document that we're working in by selecting this Add to Doc. We have created, we've done some research with Copilot. We've drafted a literature review, and we've even got a draft of a grant proposal, all by using Copilot in the web version here in Word. Now, alternatively, we could just go directly into drafting a grant proposal using our Copilot agent researcher. So I want to show you guys what that could look like, because researcher is going to go ahead and do the research for you and generate a report. So it's going to be able to skip a couple of the steps that we did in the using Word in Copilot, because Copilot, the Copilot agent researcher is going to go through and provide that multi-step research and provide that detailed report. So I'm going to go back to my conversations here. I ran it before because it does take just a moment, because it does go through that multi-step process. I'm going to go through my conversations here. And you can also search for this, or you can even filter by the agent that you use to run that prompt. So this is the one that I ran this morning. And you can see with just 2 prompts here, I just went ahead and went directly to the NIH grant proposal here. And I gave it a little bit more information around a budget for a 3-year ROI grant. And it went ahead and gave me this detailed report here. Now, the great thing about this is that it went ahead and provided that report, but I can still edit and revise this in the application that I'm most comfortable with. So I'll show you guys a couple different ways. The first way is that you can edit it directly here in Copilot or in the Researcher app by selecting this pin icon, and that's going to take you to Edit in Pages. So this is kind of like a OneNote or a notebook that works line by or side by side to your Copilot chat experience or your agent experience here. So you can go through here, you can revise things, you can even add a section below and start typing and add different information. You can review and revise however you'd like. Another great thing that I like to do here in Pages is that if there's any tables here, you can open those in Excel and work from the data directly there. So if I select this export in Excel, it's going to open a document. Typically, it's pretty quick here. I'll just give it a moment to load. So I open in Excel. And you can see I've got the same data that researcher provided me, but now it's in a place where I can edit, refine, or even visualize in Excel. That saves me some time when I'm working with some data from researcher. The other alternative that you have is to work with it in Word. So you can access it from Pages and open in Word here at the top right, or you can go directly from your response in the researcher agent and select this open in Word. And that's going to do something very similar to what we just saw in Excel, but it's going to open the full context of our response in Word for us. All right, so that should typically open up a window in Word, but I'll just show you guys what that would look like from Pages here, just so that we have that. All right, so now we've got the full Copilot or the full agent response, our report here of our draft proposal. And it's going to include all of the visuals and all of the tables that we saw as well. And you can continue to work with this on your own, or you can even continue to edit and revise with Copilot in Word. All right, so that completes our workflow of accelerating the literature reviews and the grant proposals. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to agents. All right, so I'm going to open up our Copilot chat here. And we are just going to jump out of our researcher app, and then we're going to go to this create agent here. So I'm going to select this. Now we've been using so far the out-of-the-box agents with researcher. And that's great because it's already purpose-built by Microsoft for some of the capabilities that we just saw, building out some of those multi-step research reports. But if there is a case where you need to build your own agent for a specific task or a capability, then you can do so with this create agent. So this lets you create custom agents tailored to specific roles or scenarios. And you can think of Copilot Chat as your general purpose assistant, but if you need something more specific or more customized for your recurring needs, then it might make sense to create an agent. Now you can do this with plain language. It's going to work very similar to the way that Copilot Chat works, but the main difference is that you can focus where the knowledge sources are. And so instead of having Copilot go out and provide a response based off of all of the data in the web and all of your documents across your Microsoft 365 ecosystem, maybe you just want to focus and have this agent give you good content or good response or good responses based off of a few SharePoint sites or even a few documents that you might have. So those are a couple ways that you might want to use Copilot agents. Now this create agent capability in the Copilot chat experience, whether this is on the browser or in Teams, this is for the everyday builder. So you don't have to understand code or any complex developer skills. You're able to describe what you want your Copilot agent to do in plain language here. You can even use templates or copy the kind of framework of an existing agent, or you can configure yourself here. So in this case, I'm going to create a compliance agent. And this agent is just going to be designed to help faculty, staff, administrators with any questions that they might have about a couple compliance documents that I have. Now, because I want this agent to only provide responses based off of those two documents. I don't want it to get confused with any other compliance documentation that I have across my Microsoft ecosystem. An agent is probably a good place to start with this. So I'm going to go to configure here. And I'm going to provide a couple details here. I'm going to go ahead and call this my compliance assistant agent. And just like I described to you, I'm going to put that same description here. This is going to help with the task. And I've got some details here on who's going to use it and how the policy should align with the documentation that I'm going to provide here. Now, the instructions, this is where you're going to detail what this agent should do. You're going to define its tone or any additional rules and guidelines that it must follow. So in this case, I'm just going to put some clear capabilities here. I want it to be able to compare policies, identify gaps in updates. I'm going to ask it to draft revised compliance documents that incorporate new regulatory requirements or standards. I want it to provide clear professional communications for faculty and staff, summarizing these policy changes and create supporting materials such as FAQs and templates for consent forms and data sharing plans. Now the knowledge, this is where you can be specific about where you want this agent to pull a response from. So you can pull this from URLs, from uploaded documents, from SharePoint sites, from team sites, and even Outlook emails as well here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 compliance documents here. And add those. So you can pull from cloud sources, or you can pull directly from your device. And you can see I've uploaded these 2 documents here that provide the context or the details about the policies that I want my agent to provide responses based off of. Now you can also add code interpreter or even image generator if that's something that you want your agent to do. In this case, we're just going to be providing summaries and FAQs, things like that. So I don't think that a code interpreter or an image generator is necessary for this specific agent. But I am going to go ahead and give it some suggested prompts here. So again, I'm going to give it these suggested prompts because this is what is going to show up whenever you open up your agent and you use it for the first time. So I will just go ahead and put in the prompts that I think are going to be most relevant to whoever uses this agent. So again, it's comparing documents, it is summarizing information here or summarizing policies, and then also creating FAQ. So I will also put that in as my suggested prompt. And you can see to the right, Copilot is already providing a view of what this agent will look like. So now that I've got all of the configurations complete, I've put in my title, my description, the instructions of how this agent should work. I've tied it to the desired knowledge basis. This is another one you can always prioritize the sources that you put to as well. And you can always adjust this, right? So you have the opportunity to test this right next to where you're configuring it. And based off of the responses that you get here, you may want to adjust your configurations, add or remove any data sources as you see necessary. So in this case, I'm just going to see how Copilot works for our 3 prompts that we provided. And we'll give it a moment to give us a response here. All right. So it looks like it was able to give us a comparison here. And it gave us a summary of its key findings. So you can continue to work with this, test out the rest of your prompts. We'll wait here for a moment. Got probably a lot of windows opening and prompts running. And once you're ready, then you can go ahead and create your agent here. Now, I've already built this as an example, so I'm just going to hop back over to my Copilot chat here. And I will show you what this looks like. So any of the agents that you've built are going to be added here. And you can continue to use your agent. So we'll just ask Copilot here, or agent here, to create this FAQ. You also have the ability to share this agent. Now there are a couple requirements. They have to have that Copilot for M365 license, and you'll have to share it with them directly and provide the link here. So you'll have to adjust who this agent is available to. You'll have to add their name, and then you'll also have to provide them with the link, and that will give them access. It's important that you do both. And this may vary depending on the governance or the restrictions that you guys have right now within Copilot. But as long as they have an M365 license, they're in your organization, and you select this specific users in your organization, provide their name, and give them the link, then they will have access to be able to use this agent as well. All right. So we've covered a few things about Copilot agents and built our own agent, and even showed the difference between Copilot Chat and Copilot Work and Web. But I did want to just cover another few topics that are pretty commonly asked when it comes to Copilot agents. So I just wanted to provide this, this quick table here. So for the Copilot chat that we use today, that is generally your general AI assistant for your daily tasks. It's a good place to go whether you want a response grounded in the work or the web. But the customization is limited. It's going to go ahead and search through your M365 ecosystem or the web. You can be specific about adding, the data sources, like attaching a document or sourcing a meeting for the response for the prompt, but you're not able to customize it as much as, the defined instructions and the capabilities that we provided our agent. Now, in terms of automation, both of them have the capability to iterate and work with you, but they will not go ahead and complete a task fully autonomously on their own. So the Create Agent Builder that we did in the Copilot chat or Teams, It's going to provide that conversational AI approach that you're used to having in Copilot chat. Now, there is a slight caveat to that. You can build more custom and more autonomous agents using Copilot Studio, but that is not, it takes a little bit more than just the typical everyday developer or the everyday user, and it's more applicable to a developer in that case as well. So I just wanted to make that important distinction. However, it is very powerful for some of your recurring tasks or capabilities or content that you're looking for research. You might want to look into creating your own agent for that. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and open up for Q&A.